Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Firexfred. Today we're going to be having ROOTCatz here as our blue. I'm going to call that blue even though it's not quite the regular blue. But we do have ROOTCatz here as the blue Zerg player in the right position of Lost Temple. And then the left position over here, in the cross position, we have ROOTKiwikaki. So a couple of teammates going at it now. This is a game from one of the recent TeamLiquid.net opens. So not something that you want to have to do is fight your teammate in any tournament really. We see the bad luck, don't have fun coming in from ROOTCatz, and the response, F you, from ROOTKiwikaki. So just absolute malice coming in between these players. I am guarantee you that they're absolutely serious about what they're saying, and it is not in a joking manner whatsoever. I can almost guarantee it, because that's how the internet works. No one ever jokes about anything. But anyway, we don't see a hatchery yet coming, or not a hatchery, a spawning bull coming down yet for ROOTCatz, or a hatchery. We do know that ROOTCatz is a very creative player, often likes to put hatcheries in his opponent's base and stuff like that. Just some very crazy things. We saw him do a lot of play with the mass queens, which was very good. If you have enough queens with that transfusion ability and you have broodlords, the broodlords just never really die ever, and it's actually a little bit crazy. So ROOTCatz being a little bit tricky here. He doesn't actually have enough minerals to put down a hatchery, and he has put down the spawning pool and extractor. That might not have been his plan from the get-go, but he did try and trick Kiwikaki. He knew that Kiwikaki was good enough to block off that hatchery, so he thought he might as well, you know, trick Kiwikaki into spending a little bit more time, a little bit more attention, and then putting that pylon down, which he does cancel very abruptly. And now Kiwikaki going for very standard stuff, getting that cybernetic score down at a very normal time, a little tiny bit delayed just because of that shenanigans that were going on over here, but not delayed by any sort of significant amount. And we see this queen coming down, the first queen actually for ROOTCatz so far. He is mining gas still, doesn't have this metabolic boost coming out just quite yet. He does have 4 Zerglings on the way though, so those are going to be able to scout out, take these couple of towers, and he puts down that hatchery right at the 18 food mark. Normally with a sort of build like this, you would actually get that more like at the 21 or maybe the 20 mark, but ROOTCatz just getting it a little bit earlier. Probably not going to have enough money for a second queen because he did that right away, or he could be saving up for it just to prove me wrong. And he does. He saves up for it, gets that second queen. He also has this metabolic boost on the way. He has only built 4 Zerglings actually. Where are those Zerglings? Did those Zerglings... Wait, did he cancel the Zerglings? Now I'm so confused about where those Zerglings are. I actually have no idea. Maybe they all died. Maybe they ran in and I missed something. I'm sorry if I did do that, but what am I going to do now? You know what? Do you want me to restart the replay? I mean, I can do it if you want. I wish this were actually interactive. I'd feel a lot less lonely right now, talking to myself in my room, in my apartment, doing this commentary all alone. But we do see a couple of gateways, a couple more gateways coming down. Looks like it's going to be a very standard 3-gate expand for Kiwikaki. He did actually get this stalker out rather than a sentry, which would be a little bit more normal, but both are pretty much almost going to be the same thing. This might be even a little bit better because if Katz does scout this out and sees a stalker, he might be a little bit more scared of some sort of 4 warp gate. We obviously see that it's not going to be that, but it is so hard for a Zerg player to actually know what is going to happen. Very nice Overlord placement though for Katz right here. He does see that Nexus going down. He sees it perfectly, moves that Overlord away just so he does not get hit by any sort of stalkers. We see an extra queen coming out now for, actually out already for Katz. Just going to be spreading that creep. I really love that. And because Katz saw this Nexus go down, he's going to be droning up so hard right now, as we see only drones being built as well as the lair and a couple of gas being thrown down. That is usually the response to any sort of when you see your Protoss opponent throw down a Nexus, either this sort of thing where you get your lair and a couple of gases and some tech, or you just expand again and rely on just having a lot of Zerglings for defense for just a little bit. Both of those things are very, very good, and all you Zerg players out there can benefit greatly from knowing that sort of stuff. So we do see a lot of drones coming out. Even 7 more are on the way. So 45 drones right now compared to the 34 of Kiwikaki. And of course, Katz does have the second base, so he's mining a lot more. That'll even out just a little bit now that this second base is up. The big Maynard right here coming in, almost completely saturating that right away. This cannon is coming down just for a little bit of defense from things like Zergling run-bys or any sort of roach push that's going to happen. It's very important actually for the Protoss player doing this sort of build that you actually scout out what your opponent is doing, because he could stop building drones completely and just build a ton of roaches and then hit you when you're very vulnerable. And you have to be very good with your force fields to not lose a lot. And even if you do lose just your sentries and actually manage to hold, that's actually huge, because those sentries are going to be building up energy and you need those for that first big engagement that you're going to have with your Zerg buddy. Now a couple of roaches are out for Cats, and we do see that Glial Reconstitution, the roach speed coming out, as well as Burrow. Burrow is a great thing to use against an opponent who does have a lot of sentries, as that's going to help you to not just die once you get force fielded and half of your army is on one side and half is on the other. It is not a fun thing. Excuse me. And we do see a couple of Phoenixes are coming out right here for ROOTKiwikaki. He is hiding them though, and now we see the double Robo coming out as well. So he's going to try and force a lot of Hydralisks from these with these Phoenixes and then go for some sort of double robotics facility play. Most likely Colossus, but we'll see. I have been seeing a lot of Immortals actually coming out of double Robos recently to deal with those big roach armies. So we'll see about that. This +1 ground weapons is about halfway completed. And I wonder what the upgrades are for Cats right now. Let's click on one of his guys. 0-0 so far. And he does see these Phoenixes and throws down a Hydralisk Den as well as a couple of Spore Crawlers. And one Queen is going to lose her core for life, as well as a couple of Overlords are probably going to die as well before these Spore Crawlers actually complete. They seem like they take so long. He might lose a lot of drones here too if ROOTKiwikaki decides to pick them up. Now Spore Crawlers at this natural, and this third base at the gold expansion is coming down. That was a nice burrow from that Queen to save her. If only Overlords could burrow. Am I right, guys? Am I right, my Zerg buddies? And a little bit of a push here from at the front as well. These roaches doing a little bit of damage, but mostly just being force fielded off and killed. That is not something that you want to have happen to all of your roaches. For Cats, that is definitely something bad. Now he's going to be forced to build a ton more units, attacking units, when he really wants to be building drones to saturate this third base and probably get up another one fairly soon. Some nice creep spread is here though for Cats. He did have that extra couple of queens, some nice burrow from these drones so that they do not die to those Phoenixes immediately. Remember, he had that extra queen out from the beginning, and look at how it is paying off immeasurably at this point in the game. And now Kiwikaki did take out his rocks at the gold expansion. He's going to try and expand there. And we're going to have to see what ROOTCatz has to deal with this. A little bit of a push coming out here. Not too big of a deal. But that's actually not enough roaches. And you don't want to be engaging in these small corridors, because that can happen. And that was a very nice time for ROOTCatz to pull out. We do see the melee attacks level 1, as well as the ground carapace level 1 coming out of this double Evo chamber, as well as the grooved spine. So those Hydralisks are going to have much more range on their attack, and they're going to be much more useful, especially against force fielding, because the force fields do not block them off as easily from attacking. So a little bit of a counter push here from ROOTCatz right now. I wonder if he knows that there are actually no Colossus yet, just Immortals, and going to get some nice force fields there from Kiwikaki. Going to pick up a lot of this army. About half of the army does go down for ROOTCatz. There's nothing that he can do about that. He shouldn't have been venturing that far off of creep, and Kiwikaki made him pay for that. We see the ground armor level 1 coming in for our Protoss buddy, as well as more and more Immortals, and we do see a Twilight Council on the way. He stopped using the Stargate almost completely, but it was really just there to force Hydralisks and force, kill off a lot of Overlords, force a couple of Spore Crawlers, a couple more Queens. Anything that Kiwikaki can do to just force stuff out of ROOTCatz that he doesn't want to have to build is very, very good for Kiwikaki.